You all better hold on to your seats because we're back with another video. JJ here, Retro ReWire in the hunt. It's Tuesday. I filmed this, as a matter of fact, just a few hours ago or some hours ago. And it's out in Wakayama in Jiromaru, something like that. I think I'm getting that right. I forget the name of the city itself, but super excited to be out here. Now, it's my first time out in Wakayama, and the first thing that caught my eye was this PSP Go. Look at this beautiful thing. Now, typically those come in at a much higher price in the Tokyo area, and then we have some beautiful looking PSPs. Look at these nice colors. But there was, if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, you probably noticed the PS2 at the very start. That was the PS1 with the bundled screen, which is, you know, back to its normal price. So the one that we saw in Book Off out in Kobe, that was a little bit of a deal compared to what the normal asking price for those is. And then here, just an assortment of PlayStation Vitas. Overall, first impressions is that, at least with regard to the stock level here, it's looking pretty good. And here's the Final Fantasy 13 PS3, which is definitely getting up there in price. But here's like the rarest, I believe, PlayStation 2, and it's coming in at this price because there is some cosmetic damage to the main unit, which is unfortunate. I didn't actually take a look myself, but just going off what the tag is saying there. And then here we have a Famicom Junior with the GameCube keyboard back there. Now that one is a little bit sun faded by the looks of it, and it is coming in at a hefty price, and it's about roughly what's that, 22 thou. Now, I'm not sure if this location is tax-free. Typically, ones that are a little bit further away from major cities are not. But there's definitely quite a bit of handhelds here. And this comes at no surprise, you know, like Hard OFF, you know, they have like a network where they could reference pricing. And then sometimes they leave it at the hands of the more experienced staff members. And then here's a Game Boy Color coming in at 4,000 yen before sales tax, and that's going to be a translucent purple. I'll post like a first-hand look on my stories account. And then there's the ASCII Pad FT for the Sega Dreamcast coming in at 6,000 yen before sales tax. That's actually the lowest that I've seen it, and you know I picked that up. I've been wanting that controller for quite some time, so I was super happy to see it. And there was no sun fading, so definitely looking forward to trying out that bad boy. I do love my controllers. I have I would say a pretty good collection of controllers and joysticks and all that madness. And let's just continue on the show here. We have some Famicom titles with Rockman 3, the one that was kind of catching my attention, but it's a little bit out of my budget. And you know, I do have the collection on the 3DS, and I think I might just call it good with that. And then look at that Kirby soundtrack. My goodness. And then we have Darius Force. That's a game. What was it called in the States? Supernova. I bought that at KB Toys many years ago. And at the time, I remember I didn't like it. But now I wish I would have kept it because I kind of changed my mind on it. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles in Time. That's actually the lowest price that I've seen. Super expensive title. And then we have Majora's Mask there. There's actually two, the standalone release and then the boxed one that includes I believe the expansion cart, among other things. And then we have Mad Stalker there for the PlayStation 1. What else do we have here? We got Salamander Portable. And man, I really want that. I love those Konami shooters. What else do we have back here? All sorts of interesting stuff. Now this one, I'm not really sure what this title is, and I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Coming in at 4,000 yen before sales tax. And then there's the Batman. I don't know if that's Batman. Yeah, just straight up Batman for the PC Engine. And then a few other titles, which is a little bit difficult to see. But the good old PC Engine, we'll see some more PC Engine here coming up shortly. But it was a good day out here in Wakayama. We got some Macross there for the old, what is that, the Super CD ROM. Some Hellfire, which also got a release on the Genesis as well as on the Nintendo Switch. And then look at this. This is like a little replica. It's a little bit smaller in size, and that's kind of a cool little thing. I wonder if it was just like an old like a display piece to sell those things. It wasn't for sale, as it's a part of like the showcase decor, which is unfortunate because that thing was looking pretty cool. And then some more various titles. What is that? Street Racer for the Sega Saturn. I used to have that. And then Road Rash. I completely forgot about that title. I do want Road Rash for the Sega Saturn. I have it for the 3DO, and both have their advantages, their uniqueness. And seeing as that sometimes I double dip, you know, it makes sense. And then here we have the 3D pad. Now, this was actually in pretty good condition there. Usually those, when I find them, they're a little bit faded and a little bit dirty, and that one was fairly clean. Here we have Ocarina of Time, which is slowly rising in value, or in price. We got some F-Zero there. But like, as I mentioned before, like the overall selection isn't bad. And that's, I believe that was missing the manual, which is why that one was coming in at 2,000. And a number of games that they had were actually missing the manual, unfortunately. But, you know, there's been a few titles, like when I purchased Hagane out in Fukuoka at the Culture Arts location. It was just everything but the manual. And then like a year or two later, I found it on Mercari for a somewhat decent deal. It was still less expensive to piece it together that way than just buying it outright. And I do love Hagane. And then what do we have? Doraemon 1 and 2 for the N64. I wonder how those titles are. Doraemon, he has quite a bit of video games across multiple platforms, including the Nintendo Switch. Still pumping them out. And not a bad selection of Famicom and Game Boy games. Here we have some Zelda coming in at $49.50. And I believe this one had the remake not too long ago with that kind of a new art style, which I would like to play that. And then Super Mario Advance Part 4, which is actually Part 3, a little bit confusing. Super Mario Bros. 3 for $22. And typically, depending on where you go, that game could be way a lot more expensive. But this was a nice location and fairly large, compared to other hard offs, simply because it's one of these eco towns, which combines like three stores into one. And what else do we have here? And like I have like an extensive list, and I kind of first of all, look at this. Super Mario Bros. 2, the disc system little display. Now this is coming in at 20,000, and look how clean this thing is. Now for the hardcore collector, that's definitely a showpiece there. Definitely a showpiece. It's not going to come in cheap, but that thing was pretty clean. And what the heck is this game? Is that like a first party game by Nintendo? Monty Mole maybe? And then we got our GameCube titles. We're just going to gloss over here to the Nintendo Switch stuff. I'm still looking for that SNK Neo Geo Pocket Collection Volume 1. Unfortunately, they did not have it. But, if I'm being truthful here, I didn't look too hard for it. Simply because I got the second volume just yesterday. And, sometimes with the game pickups, we have to put the reins on it. Can't get too crazy. And let's see here. We have some more disc system game. I wonder how that is. Falcion or whatever it's called. But the disc system, I do like the whole, just the whole process of playing these games. All that, the noises, and the way it reads it. It's a unique little thing. And we will be seeing some disc system units, both Nintendo versions as well as some Sharp stuff. $550 there for Zelda. Now the loose cart prices weren't bad at all, and they had a pretty good selection. Here we have Goemon, or the Legend of the Mystical Ninja. The backside is a little bit nasty, but that's something that could easily be replaced. Not a big deal. And then here we have the Super Famicom titles. And now, I'm going to be honest, when I saw this Gradius 3 for, what's that, 1,000 yen before sales tax, I think it is missing the manual. But that kind of got me in the mood, I'm like, maybe I should pick up some Super Famicom stuff. And there's some Chrono Trigger. And I actually did pick one up. We'll see it here shortly, but I picked up Mega Man Soccer. Now, it was missing the manual, but it's all good because I'm just kind of, I haven't played Mega Man Soccer, and I just kind of want to try it out, see how it is. And it being a Capcom title, you know, why not? See, I'm just moving it around, and there it is. Now, at a glance, because of the color, I was thinking it was Goof Troop, which is another game that I do want to pick up. But look at that price, 1,000 yen. Now, the box isn't in the best condition, but as I stated, you know, I'm just kind of curious about that title, so I'm looking forward to giving that one a go. Now, this is like the last Goemon release on the Super Famicom, and it looks to be some kind of like party game. I'm not really too sure about it, but I believe that was a 1996 release, which is pretty late into the Super Famicom's life. Then here we have Top Racer. This one was a little bit tempting. I do like those early racers. And what else do we have here? We have another copy of Gradius 3 for $27.50. And yeah, just not a bad selection overall. You know, all the first party stuff, and I want to say some of that stuff in today's day and age, it was reasonably priced. And then here we have the Famicom gun, and then the PSP cradle here. Somebody mentioned this thing in that they're looking for the remote, and you're gonna have to forgive me, but I forget who exactly who it was. But you know, this cradle, you know, I was holding on to it because I was like, maybe I should pick this thing up. You know, I do love the PSP. It's one of it's probably my favorite handheld device, and yeah, that thing it was really like tempting, but it was coming in at $27.50, and I still had a few more stores to go to visit on this particular day. So definitely stay tuned for those videos. Definitely going to be pumping them out as soon as I can. But yeah, that cradle. I didn't buy it. I held on to it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go pick it up. Or you'll see in the images here, I'll go and pick it up. But anyway, let's just focus what's on hand here. We saw a Twin Famicom. Here's another one. That's the Turbo Edition. We got a 3DO and then the Sega Master System coming in at 19,000 some change. And they had some pretty cool hardware here. Pretty cool hardware. But as you can see, based off of the location, it's not going to be super bargain price, you know, just because in this day and age. And I'm sure this store has been covered by other people. You know, the interesting thing about game hunting in Japan is we all know it's definitely saturated, but we're still going to do it because that's what we do, you know. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I watch like the Russian language, Korean, Chinese, Tagalog, like people are hunting hardcore and from all over the world. It's amazing. And then here we have some Game Gear action, which I did pick up a Game Gear title here, and you'll see here shortly. And what else? We got some Sega Saturn stuff. And that's not a bad price there for Real Bout on the Sega Saturn with the 1MB expansion RAM cart. And then Double Dragon there for the Neo Geo CD. That's not a bad price, considering you know, if you're just sticking to like Akihabara or Denden Town. Look at that price, 5,000 yen before sales tax. Now I do have that on the Neo Geo CD, and it's not too bad of a fighting game. I do play it every now and then. I love playing fighting games. And then we have Burai for the Mega CD, some Shining Force CD. Now this one looks interesting, that Australis, and then this Avenger. I don't know too much about Avenger. Obviously it's a shooter, but I wonder if it's any good. But kind of going back to that other one, I do like this cover. Looks mysterious. And then if you look at the images, it looks like it could be a pretty fun RPG game. But Australia's, and I do like that cover. And then we have Exevius for the old PC Engine. Now, I was definitely looking through these PC Engine titles. You know, I'm just trying to focus on that at the moment. Good old PC Engine. A lot of great and interesting titles for that platform. We got some Ranma there. Well, I'm not really sure what that's about. I think the PC Engine also had, at least in the CD format, it had a few visual novels. And then here we have some early Sega games. Look at this stuff. And the pricing on this stuff, considering the vintage, isn't all that bad. You know, this is probably a platform that I'm definitely gonna not be collecting for, because that's just a whole another can of worms. And in Japan, space is precious. Shelf space is what I'm talking about. But definitely really cool to see. And look at this. Look at the early like packaging on this stuff. Look at that. Super Cassette Vision. But definitely some interesting titles there. This is like for the, what's that? The SG-1000. But I do like the artwork on some of these. But there you go. If this is what you're after, if you're after that early stuff that's coming in on like cassette tape or whatever that is, this hard off in Wakayama is definitely one to hit up. Jiromaru, that's what it was. That's the name of the city. But it was a nice little city. Definitely windy, just because it's so close to the sea. And now that we're in February, today it was because of that wind. It was getting really, really cold when I was making my way out here. And what else? And let's see, we got some Sonic Advance for $16.50 there. Look at all this gaming action. $5,000 there for Turtles 2 on the Game Boy. Super Metroid 2, that's to be expected, that price. And what do we have? Donkey Kong, that's one that I do want to pick up, as well as Kirby 2, but they're definitely not a priority. Then we have some Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition there, and then they had Sonic Pocket Adventure, but I picked this up. Sonic the Hedgehog for 2,000 yen. Now, it is missing the manual, but you know what? It's cool. It's all good. If I have the box, better than just having the cart, especially at that price. That's not too bad. And then we have some PS3, PS2. I just kind of overlook. And look at this thing. This NEC. What is this? Like a PC 8801. Look at this bad boy. Now, that's a pretty hefty price tag. And there's definitely some issues going on there. But, man, if you get that thing up and running. And look at that. The little casing for the N64. Then we have the original ROM unit there for 19. Usually that one's averaging at about 30. But then here's the Sonic Pocket Adventure at 7,000 yen. Now, if you find that one complete, expect to pay around like the 20,000 or above price point. And I don't think that. I wonder if that one, if they do make another Neo Geo Pocket Color collection, hopefully that one will make it on there. But again, look at this Pokemon. Every store, whether it's a book off, hard off, hobby off, any store that's selling video games, every one that I've been going to as of late has dedicated a special like showcase area for all things Pokemon. That stuff's selling like crazy. And we're gonna make our way into the junk section, and we'll take the long road and smell the hardware here, the roses, so to speak. And just so you guys can get an idea, they have all sorts of stuff from tools. And, since I'm on a construction site, I'm just kind of like popping in and out, looking at the tools, see what can make the job easier. And look at this thing. Who is this, Megatron? I think that's Megatron. I don't really remember a lot of those Transformer films, assuming that it is. But look at all these disc systems. Now, they're all coming in at between 20 and 30. And that's not going to be the lowest. Out in Saitama, you can still find the actual unit itself for about 1,000 yen. And I did find like the RAM expansion bit for 100 yen once out at the Surugaya in Yokohama. But look at this is nice to see. And then look at this. This is actually now the lowest price that I've seen on a Twin Famicom, and I think it's about 100 and some yen, or a few hundred yen lower than the one that was out in the Kobe book off. And then here we have a Mega Drive, but it's nice to see a variety of hardware that isn't just like Nintendo, Famicom and Super Famicom. And they definitely have it here. And speaking of Nintendo, look at this bad boy, the TV Game 6. I think this is a 1977 vintage, so that thing is pretty old school. And then here we have the DS Fat. Now, I have this exact same color. Absolutely love that thing. And, I think this first iteration is my favorite, but I will admit that the Lite definitely has way, way superior screens. But there's just something about the feeling of the original Fat model. And then look at that, just up top. Some disk system games just kind of hanging out. I wonder if those even work. And then just an assortment of stuff. And here we're just going to be glossing over like the junk section. We're not going to go too hard in there. But it's just to give you guys an idea of what you could be rummaging through if you find yourself out here. But the junk section was pretty impressive, and we will make our way to the junk case, of course. But Jiromaru, now Jiromaru, the city, I think there is going to be quite a bit of places to be, looking for video games, from all the major stores like the off stores, as well as like Geo World Mobile or Geo Hypermedia Shop. I don't know if there's a Furuichi, but there's also a lot of recycle shops. And there's going to be quite a few of them. But I was surprised to see Gale Racer at this price in the junk section. It probably is all banged up and scratched. Kind of an interesting looking cover there for a Super CD-ROM title, which is, in this day and age, it's very rare to see in the junk section. But just all sorts of stuff here. And I didn't really want to dig too deep in there because, once you start doing that, the basket starts getting heavy. You know what I'm talking about. And then quite a bit of 360 titles there. A lot of PlayStation hardware. And $38.50 for the 360 there in the box. And then look at this thing. This is like a Yamada Denki PlayStation 2 edition for $38.50. And there could be some issues in there. And I meant to open that up to take a look at it. And I was going to do that once I stopped filming, but I completely forgot. Because I was just so focused on what I wanted to pick up and buy that I just completely forgot. A shame, because that thing could have been interesting. As I've never seen that edition, the Yamada Denki PS2. And we got some more PlayStation hardware here. $49.50 for the PS2 Slim. And those can still be had for about 1,000 yen working. And then here we have an old cube. I do like the indigo color. I was trying to get that unstuck to at least give it the dignity of having the closed lid, but unfortunately that thing was quite sticky. And then we got some Wii U's in the back. But overall, pretty impressive. And I'm not talking about pricing. Pricing, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. You can decide for yourself what is reasonable. But in regard to what they have on hand, not too bad. Look at these hubcaps. Ultraman. That's kind of funny. And then now here we are in the junk showcase. Now this is some kind of Dreamcast controller adapter. I believe you can use PS1 peripherals with that bad boy. And then we got a Pocket Pikachu, the Famicom 3D glasses, a couple of Cube controllers, and more handhelds. And we got a Wonder Swan back there for $5,000 before sales tax. A variety of PSPs, and I do like that orange spice looking one, and that one's always expensive. And then two new Nintendo 3DSs coming in at $14,000 some change. And then we have the green DMG. Look at that bad boy, 7,000 yen. 7,000 yen, and it looks like it's an issue with the LCD screen. But if you're handy, that's a quick and easy fix. And look at this transparent one. I don't think I've seen that one before. Definitely a cool design, that yellow orangey looking one. And 5,000 there for the advance, and 16,500 for the micro. But not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now we're gonna be. Oh well, here's the testing station. I do like to show these things off from time to time, as they're very important if you're thinking about buying something out of the junk. And then here is a old school Apple iMac. Look at this bad boy, coming in at 8,000 yen before sales tax, and that could be for a cool modding project. But kind of going back to the case, they did have a Game Boy Light, and that's coming in at 27,500. And as I mentioned before, I will post a video of me taking a look at that translucent Game Boy Color, and it'll be on my Instagram. So definitely follow me on Instagram, as I do post exclusive content for that platform. Sometimes I'm going to other stores, but I'm not filming, just taking pictures, and I make a post. You'll know how it goes. And then we have the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Edition. And then out by the register, they had some more junk, and here's the PS1, and it's coming in at 1,000 yen. Maybe it's untested, maybe it's not reading discs, or maybe it's not powering on, but they do have the testing station, and they do have all the cables, so you can test at your heart's content. And sometimes they even have like a multimeter, which is pretty cool. But all sorts of stuff, a lot of software. But as you see, like some of this stuff in the junk section, it's not like how it was years ago. Now this stuff's becoming true junk, which is to be expected. A lot of it has been just kind of circulating all over the world. And then there's what's that little camera? Yeah, and that's another thing. If you're into cameras, you definitely want to hit up the off stores. Here's another PlayStation Portable coming in at 2,000 and some change. Some old, what is that, like an old GPU and a lot of older PC components in there. But in the next video, now next to this place, like literally next door, there's a Moss Burger, and then next to that, there's a Book Off, which is fairly large. So we're definitely I'll show you guys that Book Off, and then we're gonna go to another Eco Town, whatever you want to call it, in Wakayama. And I'm making my way out further and further from the hustle and bustle of the city. But anyhow, stay tuned, as there's more to come. So I'll see you guys very, very soon. Ciao.